I'm sprawled across a worn-out love seat in my new apartment on the west side of Portland, Oregon. One hand clutches a mug of chamomile tea, the other presses against my forehead, trying to push away the dizziness from a flood of notifications. My phone glows on the coffee table, buzzing like it's about to combust. Mom. Dad. Even my older brother, Ethan. Their names flash on the screen in an endless loop, as if my silence is a fuse about to blow. 6 months. It's been 6 months since I walked out of that house. No shouting matches, no tears, not even a dramatic door slam. I quietly stuffed a few clothes, my ancient laptop, and my budgeting notebook into a faded backpack, then slipped out as the sun sank behind the row houses across the street. No one stopped me. No one asked where I was headed. No one thought I'd stay gone. To them, I was Sarah Thompson, 27, the dependable daughter, the one who always bailed everyone out when the bills piled up. For nearly a decade, I was the invisible glue holding my family's finances together. When Ethan lost another gig, when Mom and Dad missed a payment on their new couch, I stepped in. I thought I was being strong, doing what family does. But here, in this tiny apartment with just enough space for me and the quiet, I finally saw it. I'd been propping up a system I didn't create, one where I was the only one running while everyone else stood still. The phone buzzes again. I don't need to check, it's Mom. I can already hear her voice in my head. How could you abandon your family? Call back if you care. I don't pick up. I don't even reach for the phone. I just lean back, breathe deep, and feel my chest lighten with every second that passes. My name is Sarah Thompson. I'm a financial analyst who earned a full ride to Oregon State University. I used to believe that if I worked hard, stayed out of trouble, and kept my head down, I'd earn my place. But the more I did, the less I seemed to matter. And the moment I stopped, just once, my phone lit up like a 911 call. My family wasn't always like this. Growing up in a modest split level in Eugene, we were a typical middle-class household. Dad ran a small auto repair shop, and Mom worked part-time as a bookkeeper. But things shifted when Dad's business took a hit during the recession, and Mom started leaning on credit cards to keep up appearances. Ethan, my brother, 4 years older, was the golden child. He started college for graphic design, labeled the creative one with big dreams. But he dropped out, bounced between barista jobs and delivery apps, and now, at 31, he's back to unemployed. Meanwhile, I started working at 15, bussing tables at a diner 3 miles from home. I biked there after school, used my first paycheck to buy a second-hand laptop to keep up with homework. No one asked if I was exhausted or if I'd eaten. But when Ethan needed a new computer to launch his freelance career, Mom didn't hesitate to max out a credit card, saying it was his chance to start over. That was the logic I grew up with. When I did well, it was expected. When Ethan screwed up, it was because he was trying. He'd quit jobs because the manager was too intense, lose Dad's car keys and call it an accident. Mom would jump to his defense. No one thrives in a toxic workplace. Dad would reminisce about Ethan's middle school art awards. Me? The one who never missed a bill, never derailed a plan, somehow became the selfish one the second I said no. By 18, I was the family's financial backbone. It started small, covering the electric bill, chipping in for gas. But it snowballed into everything: water bills, roof repairs, even Ethan's online art courses. I thought it was temporary, just helping out during a rough patch. I sent money regularly, no thank yous, just more requests. Things are tight this month, Sarah. Can you add a bit extra? I tried to stay quiet, told myself I was doing the right thing. But every time I dragged myself home after a 60-hour workweek, I'd see Ethan sprawled on the couch, gaming. Mom would be in the kitchen, making his favorite lasagna. Dad would be retelling the story of Ethan's artistic spark. I'm not heartless, I used to care about the little things. But I couldn't keep living in a world where my effort was invisible, and Ethan's failures were celebrated like victories. I tried to set boundaries. 2 years ago, I sat Mom and Dad down and suggested Ethan get a steady job to share the load. Ethan snapped, "You think it's easy out there? I'm working on my portfolio. Mom cut in, don't pressure your brother, Sarah. He's finding his path. I asked them to make a budget to reduce their reliance on me. Dad nodded but never followed through. Once, I refused to cover Ethan's phone bill, hoping it'd push him to step up. Instead, Mom paid it with her credit card and lectured me, family doesn't keep score. Those attempts only made things worse. The guilt trips intensified, you're doing well, Sarah. Why can't you help? And I'd cave, sending money again. I started avoiding my banking app because seeing the dwindling balance made my chest tight. My life was ruled by their bills, their needs, their choices. The tipping point came last year. I was saving for a condo, my first shot at independence. Then Dad called, voice heavy, Sarah, the house is in trouble. The bank's threatening foreclosure unless we catch up on payments. The house, a small, aging ranch style where I grew up, was everything to them. I asked, how much? $200 a month, just for a few months, Mom said. I canceled my condo deposit that night and started sending the money. It wasn't just a few months. It stretched to 2 years, $28,000 total, not counting car repairs, medical bills, or Ethan's art supplies. What stung wasn't the money. It was how they acted like it was normal. No gratitude. No questions about whether I could afford it. Just more asks. Then came the betrayal. 6 months ago, I stopped sending money, needing to rebuild my savings. But the calls didn't stop. One day, after a voicemail from Dad, the bank's on us again, Sarah. Why haven't you paid? Something felt off. I'd stopped payments, yet they acted like I was still on the hook. That night, I logged into the bank account I'd used to send mortgage payments, one tied to Dad's name. I'd never checked it before, why would I? They were my parents. The transaction history hit me like a punch. The last mortgage payment was 9 months ago, before I stopped sending money. I'd sent $3,600 in those final months, and not a dime went to the house. The account was $7,200 overdue, flagged for foreclosure. I called the bank, posing as a concerned daughter. The rep confirmed, no payments since early last year. The money I sent? Gone. No explanation. I didn't sleep that night, staring at the ceiling, one question looping in my mind, how long had they been lying to me? I texted Dad, the bank says the mortgage is 9 months behind. I sent money. Where did it go? No reply. Then Mom called, voice sharp, Sarah, don't accuse us. Everything's falling apart since you left. I shot back, left? Or stopped paying for everyone's life? Ethan jumped in, you're blowing this out of proportion. They just need time. I laughed, cold and bitter. Time? I've carried this family for a decade while you've done nothing. Mom sobbed, we're family, Sarah. Families help each other. I cut her off, help has limits. You lied to me. That money wasn't for the house. Dad tried one last plea, if you don't help, we'll lose everything. My voice was steady, then lose it. I'm not your bank anymore. I hung up, not in anger, but in peace. I powered off my phone for 2 days. The silence was sweeter than anything I'd ever known. That day, I walked out of their house for good. I'd gone to drop off groceries, like I had for years. Mom met me at the door, arms crossed, what you're sending isn't enough anymore. Dad added, you live alone, Sarah. We're struggling. Isn't that unfair? I looked at them, the people who raised me, demanding I fund their comfort. I said, I paid your mortgage, your bills, your mistakes for years. And it's still not enough? Ethan, lounging on the couch, chimed in, it's not like you're hurting. Why can't you share? I turned to him, sharing goes both ways, Ethan. All you do is take. Mom snapped, that's enough, Sarah. If it's such a burden, leave. Time stopped. Those words, leave, had echoed in my head for years. This time, I did. I set the groceries down, walked out into the rain, and didn't look back. My new apartment is a third-floor walk-up in a faded building in Portland's Hawthorne district. The paint's peeling, the floors creak, but to me, it's freedom. Number 6 a.m. texts about doctor's appointments. No midnight calls for gas money. I moved in with 2 suitcases and a thrift store comforter, but the relief felt like breathing for the first time. Mornings now are mine. I wake up, brew coffee, open the window, and let the city sounds drift in. Weekends, I read, take coding classes online, or walk through Forest Park, no phone glued to my ear for another emergency. My bank account's stabilizing. I've saved $4,000 in 6 months, a milestone I never thought possible. But freedom isn't all sunshine. Some nights, alone in my apartment, I wonder if I went too far. I cut all ties, no money, no calls. The house I helped save is on the brink of foreclosure. My parents, who raised me, are navigating the fallout alone. I used to be their rock. Now I'm the one who let go. The guilt creeps in when I'm not busy. I replay Mom's voicemails, "You'll regret this, Sarah. That house is our life. Dad's, we're out of options without you." Ethan's, sharp and bitter, "You're letting us sink over your pride." I listen to every word, but I don't cry anymore. I just feel tired. They always knew how to make me doubt myself, tying me down with guilt. "You're our pride, Sarah. We'd be lost without you." But that pride was never gratitude, it was a leash. I faced new challenges, too. Friends don't always understand why I cut contact. Some say I'm too harsh, that family comes first. I felt isolated, second-guessing if I'm the cold one they accuse me of being. But I've also started therapy, joined a support group for people recovering from family financial abuse. Slowly, I'm building a life that's mine. In America, we're raised to believe family is everything. We're told to honor our parents, stick together no matter what. For women especially, there's this expectation to be the caretaker, the one who sacrifices. I felt that pressure every time Mom hinted I'd be less if I focused on myself. Once, when I mentioned buying a place, she said, "A woman living alone? People will think you're unlovable." That mindset trapped me for years. I thought being strong meant carrying everyone's weight. But strength isn't sinking under someone else's choices, it's standing up for your own. I wonder what my parents' side is. Maybe they're scared, ashamed of their financial mess. Maybe Ethan's stuck, battling depression or fear of failure. I've tried to understand, even asked Mom once why she always defended him. Her answer? He needs me more. It hurt, but it clarified one thing: their love for me was conditional, tied to what I could provide. I don't hate them. I just can't keep saving them at the cost of myself. But the question lingers, what if they lose the house? What if I get a call saying they're homeless? I carried them for 10 years, that can't be erased. Yet guilt doesn't need logic to creep in. I'm not sharing this to be applauded or to vilify my family. I'm trying to understand, did I do the right thing? I chose myself, but is there a price I haven't seen? If you've ever been the reliable one, the one carrying a family's burdens, you might know this weight. You might have been called selfish for saying no just once. Here's what I've learned, and what I wish I'd known sooner. Set boundaries early. It's not selfish, it's survival. Start small, like saying no to one request, and see how people react. Their response will tell you everything. Track your contributions. I started logging every dollar I sent. It helped me see the scale of what I was giving, and what wasn't being reciprocated. Seek support. Therapy or support groups can help you process guilt and rebuild confidence. I found a local group through a community center, and it's been a lifeline. Know your worth. Your value isn't tied to what you do for others. You deserve a life that's yours, not a role someone else assigned you. Plan for pushback. When you set boundaries, expect resistance, guilt trips, accusations. Prepare your response, like, "I love you, but I can't keep doing this." If you're in a similar spot, here are practical steps. Create a budget to protect your finances. Apps like Anab or Mint can help. Talk to a counselor. Many cities offer low-cost options through community health centers. Join online communities. Reddits r/raised by narcissists or forums like Out of the Fog have helped me feel less alone. Document everything. If you're helping family, keep receipts or bank statements to avoid disputes. Practice saying no. It's hard, but it gets easier. Start with low-stakes requests to build confidence. My story isn't just about walking away. It's about learning that love, real love, needs boundaries. Without them, you're not helping, you're enabling. I don't know what's next for my family. Maybe they'll lose the house. Maybe they'll figure it out. But I know this, I can't save them by drowning myself. I still wonder if I was too harsh. Could I have compromised? Should I have tried harder to make them understand? I don't have all the answers, but I'm learning to live with the questions. If you've ever felt trapped by family expectations, I want to hear from you. Have you set boundaries? How did you handle the pushback? Share in the comments, your story might help someone else take that first step. For more resources, check out the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, at nami.org for support groups, or visit daveramsey.com for financial planning tools to protect your future. And if you found this story relatable, hit subscribe. We share stories like this every week to help you navigate family, finances, and finding yourself. Sarah's journey is a wake-up call for anyone labeled the good kid, burdened with responsibilities that were never theirs. She traded her peace for loyalty to a family that took her for granted. But when she saw her worth being drained, she found the courage to say enough. Real love doesn't demand your soul, it respects your boundaries. What do you think? Was Sarah right to walk away, or should she have tried to find a middle ground? Let us know below. I remember one dinner, 2 years ago, when I tried to talk sense into them. I'd just paid their overdue water bill, and I said, "Can we sit down and make a plan so I'm not covering everything?" Ethan rolled his eyes. "Not everyone's a money machine like you, Sarah." Mom patted his hand. "He's stressed, honey. Don't make it harder." I left that night feeling smaller than ever, but it planted a seed. I couldn't keep this up forever. New life challenges. Living alone isn't always easy. Last month, a coworker invited me to a barbecue, and when I mentioned I don't talk to my family, she said, "Wow, that's cold. They're still your parents." I smiled, changed the subject, but it stung. I've lost touch with some friends who think family ties are sacred, no matter the cost. Therapy's helped me see that's their lens, not my truth. Cultural reflection. In the US, we're fed this idea that family is your ride or die. Movies, TV, even Thanksgiving ads push that narrative. But what happens when family becomes a one-way street? I've learned that loyalty doesn't mean erasing yourself. It's okay to love from a distance, to protect your peace. I still worry about the what-ifs. What if mom calls, saying they're on the street? Would I help? I don't know. I've given so much, years, dollars, dreams. I can't undo that, but I can't repeat it either. I'm learning to live with that tension, to trust that choosing myself isn't betrayal, it's survival. If you're carrying your family's weight, you're not alone. Millions of Americans, especially women, are expected to be the fixer, the bank, the savior. But you're not a machine. Your dreams, your health, your future matter. Start small, say no to one thing this week. See how it feels. You might be surprised at the strength you find. This morning, I walked to a cafe near my apartment, ordered a latte, and sat by the window, watching Portland wake up. My life's not perfect. The apartment's drafty, my savings are modest, and I still flinch when my phone buzzes. But for the first time, I'm living for me. Freedom isn't loud, it's quiet, like the first sip of coffee in a space that's yours. If this story hit home, don't just watch, act. Check out the resources in the description, share your story in the comments, or reach out to a friend who gets it. And if you're ready to set boundaries, start today. You deserve a life that's yours. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time with another story of courage and change.